So I was once told that every sinner has a future and every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future and every saint has a past. And at first, that really resonated with me. But then I began to think a little bit about that. Every saint has a past. Well, it kind of indicates that once you are a saint, that it's all good. And that you're not going to sin anymore. Well, that could be good. And it also really has that tension, right, between All Saints' Day, what we're really at, in the sense of this tension I'm talking about between living your life right now and what's to come. I think the problem is, and we've always had this tension in Christianity, if we wait, right, until we die, and then we can't be declared a saint then, well then, it really kind of affects how we live today. And how we live today matters. What we do matters here today. We hear that tension in the Beatitudes, which is one of Jesus' top 10s. We love the Beatitudes, and sometimes we just kind of gloss over them because we've heard them so much. But there's this tension between what we are experiencing right now and how we are living and the choices we are making to what shall come. We heard that in the first reading as well. This tension between right now and what is to come. So if how we live right here, right now, matters, and the choices we make matter on a daily basis, how are we to live? I think the challenge is with saints sometimes we try to make them into statues. And I'm looking around, I don't see too many statues in this church, but in a lot of churches you have statues of the saints. And we try to hold them up as this model of perfection, right? That many of us could never ascertain. They were, in a sense, perfect people. We really laud all the wonderful things they do, and we kind of sometimes ignore some of the other things or just don't talk about them. But I don't think that's the best model for a saint. I would instead challenge us to think of models as stained glass windows. Now, y'all do have some beautiful stained glass windows here, and I appreciate you doing that as an illustration of my sermon. That was very nice of you. Here we have these wonderful stained glass, and the thing about stained glass windows is they are gorgeous, but they are much more gorgeous when light shines through them. I don't know what it's like to be a saint. I hope one day that I can come close to it, and I think part of that is allowing my life, allowing the light of God to shine through my life, realizing I am not a statue, I am not perfect. Yet on my good days, I allow God's light to shine through me. And that's easy to do on the good days. But I don't need to tell you that we live in challenging times. And saints, I think the things we can take on this particular All Saints' Day is saints really allowed that light to shine when times were tough. When things weren't exactly the way they thought they were going to be, whether it be worldwide pandemics or whatever life threw at them. Because we are not the first people of God to experience trial. We are not the first people of God to feel separated, to feel isolated. We are not the first people of God to have almost everything that we knew taken away from us. And the ground feels like it's shifting under beneath us. One of my mantras in life is there are many things that we cannot change. Many things that just are. I don't have control over a lot of things. What I do have control over is how I respond to them. How do I respond to them? How am I different? Because saints are different. There is something different about them. And I think we're all called to live into that. We're called to be something different in a society right now, in a country that is incredibly divided. As we stand on the eve of probably one of the most important elections, and we realize that no matter who wins, a large portion of our country will feel victorious and vindicated, and another large part of our country will feel disappointed, maybe perhaps even cheated. And we have a decision to make that no matter who wins this election, if we are the winners, we can feel victorious, we can gloat. Or if we are on the losing side, perhaps we can feel bitter and complain. And perhaps even worse, cause violence. We have choices on how we react to situations. We have a choice to be sinners or to be saints. And saints is an aspirational thing, let me tell you, but I think it's what we're called to be at this time, at every time, but especially at this time. The world does not need more people trying to be statues, looking for a model of perfection that is just not attainable, looking perhaps for their own selfish goals. What the world needs now more than ever, are people who are simply there and open to letting God's light shine through them. So, maybe this All Saints Sunday is a time to stop and reflect. Maybe it's a time to let go of that notion of trying to be a statue and simply be a stained glass window displaying God's beauty, God's brightness, and God's light. Amen.